He's never called me Shanann till this week. That's just one of the astute text messages that Shanann Watts sent her friends when she was going through the tumultuous end of her marriage to Chris Watts. She may not have known Nicole Kessinger by name, but she definitely felt the effects of the Nicole Kessinger-Chris Watts affair those last 6 weeks. I swear I feel the presence of another woman. That's not what Shanann said, but it's a song lyric that reminded me of this situation. It's like Nikki's spirit could be felt. That song lyric continued to say, "There's a stranger in my house." And even though it's a man speaking about feeling the presence of another man when he held onto his woman, I couldn't help but think of that song when examining this case and looking back through all the text messages that Shanann sent her friends, as well as Chris Watts, when she was attempting to figure out what the heck was going on. We know that any interruption in pattern, any change in habits, means something's going on. There's a reason for it. And Shanann was no fool. She knew there was a reason why Chris didn't treat her like he treated her in the past. She talked about her own temper. She talked about the infamous Nutgate situation. And she even sadly tried to have self-realization and change towards the end. Unfortunately, it seems like nothing was going to change Chris Watts' mind from what he had planned. But it's interesting to see that Shanann was perceptive enough to realize that the man who used to call her baby or boo or anything but Shanann started calling her Shanann. Let's read some of her text messages with her friends that she sent them, that they sent her, how they tried to advise her, even the symptoms she started feeling. So on Monday, July 9th, one of Shanann's friends knew about the fallout apparently from Nutgate. "Okay, my beautiful friend, what's going on over there? I'm seeing your post about Cece, and I'm concerned, so reaching out to see if you needed to vent." "Oh, my mother-in-law has zero respect for me or my kids," Shanann wrote. "All weekend she is letting Bella do and have things after I say no, then whispers in her ear not to tell mommy. She let her other granddaughter eat ice cream that had every tree in it next to my daughter and said they have to learn they can't get everything they want. She buys things and gives them to them and I have to read them and say no. She said, your mommy says no. No, her life says no." Shanann's friend said, "Oh my word, I knew it had to be the mother-in-law. I'm so sorry, honey." Shanann says, "It's okay." Her friend said, "But it shouldn't be so terrible. Whether she and you get along or not, they are her grandbabies and their well-being and emotions are what is most important." Shanann said, "She can treat me like ish, but don't put my child's life at risk." "Exactly," her friend agreed. Shanann said, "I want Chris to say something to his mom about the food incident, but she talks over him and now this is regarding Cece's tree nut allergy and the fact that a child ate vanilla ice cream next to Cece. I want Chris to say something to his mom about the food incident, but she talks over him and he won't get to speak." Her friend asked, "Will he be okay if you say something? Maybe you two need to have it out to move forward." Shanann said, "Yes, I told him he should. We've had it out for 8 years. Her friend wondered, "You've yelled and screamed and had it out fully?" "Yep, and today," said Shanann. "Asked her questions?" Now she's going to speak about how her mother-in-law is supposedly a different person around her husband. So she's saying that Cindy Watts, Chris's mom, is a different person when her hubby's around and her daughter. So when her husband Ronnie Watts is around and her daughter, Chris's sister, supposedly Cindy acts differently. He doesn't like confrontation. Her daughter is the golden child and her kids. Chris was chopped liver his whole life, Shanann claimed. The friend said, "I think if he finally confronts her, then the shot might do it. If the shock doesn't, then she will have to not see her grandbabies ever again, and that's her loss." I know her friends probably meant well, but I don't know if they all gave her the best advice. Shanann said, "Sorry, love, just got home from Celeste's birthday party." So this was Sunday, July 15th. She was still in North Carolina. "How was Miss Cece's party?" Shanann said, "Great. In-laws, no-show." Her friend said, "I'm sorry they no-showed." Shanann said, "Their loss, not mine. They are out of my kid's life now. Bye." These words would be sadly prophetic. The friend said, "We would have totally been there, hearts. Her family isn't blood." So she's saying Cece's family aren't necessarily blood relatives, Maybe friends would be family. That's the best kind of family, her friend agreed. I sent to block them, want to block them. Never blocked anyone except creepers, Shanann said. How would you handle them, she asked. The friend said, I would keep them on Facebook, but I wouldn't talk to them or make it a point to be around them for anything. Things have to be on your terms. Shanann said, I don't ever want to see them again. Her friend said, then don't. You don't have to. Wednesday, July 18th. Hey, love, I'm good. Getting over. I know, of course, a child's allergies are paramount, but keeping a child away from their grandparents is a major step. Her friend said, did you get all of my messages, LOL, by Friday, August 3rd? Shanann said, yes, sorry, it's been a rough day. Forgot to respond. Why rough, honey? You okay? Now they start talking about potentially putting the house in someone else's name besides Chris's name. Shanann asked, what if it's solely on your mom's name? Her friend said she doesn't make enough. We want to aim to not be in your home any longer than a month. We don't want to put you guys out. So her friends were talking about potentially moving into Shanann's house, and even though it's under Chris's name, there would have to be some changes made. The friends obviously had children they would bring with them to join Bella and Cece, but they didn't want to put them out. Her friend said, like I said, unless you want a different home, and we will take yours. Laugh, laugh, I don't know emoji. Now why was your day rough, girl? Shanann said, you'd never put us out. Can't explain on text. And not a good time. So her friend said, okay, honey, call me whenever you can. Love you and smile. Kiss. Shanann said, love you more. Thank you. I think that's actually what's on her grave memorial. Love you more. Her parents said she always said that. So things were getting so bad at that point with Chris that she was trying to figure out how she would survive a divorce. Sunday, August 5th. Okay, I will order mine as well. What day did you pick for your headshots? So they were preparing, I believe, for the Arizona Thrive stuff. Shanann said, I don't remember. I think I ordered 2. Her friend said, I just ordered 1 for Saturday morning. Shanann said, perfect. Now, this is what she wrote to Chris, and she's going to tell her friend she told him. Truth came out last night. I didn't create no dagger between you and your dad. That was done by your mom and your dad. And I won't change a thing. My daughter's life is way more important. So, obviously, Chris must have said Shanann placed a dagger between him and his dad because Shanann didn't want Chris seeing his parents. Shanann said, my daughter's life is way more important, and you better believe I wanted to say a whole lot more than I did, but I was being the bigger person and protecting Bella. For some reason, she says Bella, not Cece. I didn't tell your dad not to come to the party. I didn't tell him not to text or call your daughter for her birthday. I didn't tell him to start acting like he only has 2 grandkids instead of 4. I didn't tell him to block your family on Facebook. Myself and your kids have nothing to say to them. They owe your kids their life. Your parents' home isn't safe zone. Your mom isn't safe. You can let them tell you what you want, but I didn't tell anyone to stop loving your kids or acting like it. He did that, not me. You can believe I created this dagger, but I didn't do that. I stood up for our kids. I advocated and protected our children. I don't ever want to hear I'm sorry because I accidentally, your kid, because I was stupid. That would kill me. These kids are my world, and I have to protect them from the evil of the world. I shouldn't have to protect them from evil family. Our kids deserve the same love and attention the other kids get, nothing less. I'm not accepting I'm sorry from your mom because she doesn't mean it, and she knew what she was doing. I made it very clear not to eat around Celeste because she doesn't understand. Way before that happened, she's evil and willing to risk your daughter's life just to get under my skin. You and your dad are no different if you are okay with her behavior. There's nothing wrong with me, and I'm not crazy. I just love my kids way too much. This seems like a lot. We know it's a bunch of he said, she said about what happened over the nut exposure incident. Shanann continued, from the day I left, you never said I missed you before I said it. Something changed when I left. You may be happy or alone, and that's fine. You can be alone. This pregnancy, you have failed to acknowledge it or to acknowledge how I'm feeling. The first trimester is the scariest and most dangerous, yet we can lose this baby at any point till delivery. I'm not going to be treated this way. For having the balls to protect our family and kids, I should get a gold ducking medal for handling it the way I did because I had a lot of choice words I wanted to say to her and your dad for his stupidity. I don't know what she thinks his dad was stupid about. No one stands up to your mom and your dad for that. He's just as guilty by not doing anything. I have nothing to do with him stop sharing memories of his grandkids. What does that have to do with me? They are effing with our kids' feelings, and that I am not okay with. I'm their mother and I will protect them. I have enough to worry about. With the world out there, I'm not going to just worry about family. I will just remove it. That's what I texted him in the middle of the night. What did he say? Nothing. Yeah, I can only imagine getting a text like that. Her friend said, nothing at all, just that he loves the kids, Shanann said. Did he say he loves you? Did he say that he loves you? Shanann said, no. He asked me if the kids could see his parents, and I said no. I'm standing my ground. They haven't made contact in 4 weeks. No show to her party. Nothing said for her birthday. The friend said, it's shocking that he hasn't said a word to you about what you said to him. I'm so sorry, honey. He needs to open up and talk to you about everything. You guys need to clear the air and work on it, and then work on the issue with his parents. That's true. That's very level-headed, if they could have. Shanann said, I've been trying to talk to him for 4 days. He hasn't said anything in return. It's okay, honey. Her friend said, is that really what you want? Do you think that is what he wants? Shanann said, no, it's not. But I'm also not going to live like this. I'm not going to be ignored and not loved. I don't blame her. Her friend said, you're only going to be home for a few days and then you go to Phoenix. Then you're both home for a bit and no travel, right? Yep. So here we are, Sunday, August 5th. They're still in North Carolina, and Chris Watts was going to his parents' house to see them for the first time since he got there. Even though his dad had taken off time to see him, there was a whole bunch of keeping away from Chris's parents. So her friends asked to do what? Try and work it out? And Shanann said, kiss their ass, probably. Her friend said, maybe you guys should talk with someone when you get home. Throwing away what you have together is not okay. My heart aches for you. Shanann said, love you, friend. Can't and won't fight alone. I need a man that has the balls to protect his family, even when it comes to your own blood. Shanann could tell that Chris literally was a totally different person. She mentioned that several times. He's a totally different person from the guy I've known for 8 years. I know in another text string she said, he has changed. Shanann said, I wouldn't change a thing. Ish, I was a saint. I wanted to tell his mom that she's a narcissistic, stupid biatch. I just said we were done and never coming back. Heartbreak, heartbreak, tear. Her friend said, I wish I was there to hug you. Friday, Shanann wrote, you splitting room with me? Her friend said, yes, ma'am. So they were looking forward to traveling to Arizona that following weekend. Now, Shanann is documenting what sounds like the effects of oxy without knowing she was dosed by her husband. Monday, August 6th, I'm so dizzy and lightheaded and nauseous. Her friend said, have you drank enough water and eaten? Working on it, she said. You staying with me Friday? I think it's because I haven't pooped in weeks. Now, oxy can make you constipated, but to have not gone in weeks is almost like scary. Your system could be septic. Yes, I'm with you Friday and Saturday, honey. Why haven't you pooped? Okay, Shanann said, constipated. You coming early? It sounds very uncomfortable. I literally Googled people who haven't pooped in weeks, and that's like a very dangerous situation. I don't know if she was exaggerating, but it might have been really true. I'm going to leave early Friday morning to head up. What time do you land again? Her friend asked. Are you taking Balance? That's one of their Thrive products. So we see the flight from Denver to Phoenix. Shanann must have screenshotted and sent her friend. And then there's flight home returning Sunday, August 12th, 2018. Leaving Phoenix 8:45, and it should have landed earlier than it did. Yes, but I forgot it a few times. She forgot Balance. She took 3 last night, so obviously Shanann was trying to help her system. Shanann said, I will take Uber from airport. Maybe that was before the flight was delayed and she got a ride home from Nikki Atkinson, that is. Miss you, love. Safety first, I'm driving. With Do Not Disturb while driving turned on, I'll see your message when I get where I'm going. I'm not receiving notifications. If this is urgent, reply urgent to send a notification through with your original message. I miss you. Kiss, her friend said. Chris is driving, not me. Shanann wrote. Where are you guys headed to? Shanann said to see his grandma, that I'm taking the girls back home with me as he goes to his parents. So we have seen that photo. Obviously, Shanann allowed Chris to take the girls to see his grandma in that home, which is a good thing. Shanann said, I'm not going and neither are the kids. Her friend said, is he going to talk to them about the issue and work it out? Shanann said, who knows? You can't protect someone you're not in love with anymore. He doesn't have the balls. The friend said, is he truly not in love with you anymore? Did he say that? Shanann said, his parents don't love him the way he loves them. He's wanting their love and attention so much and they don't give it. He's seeking their approval. And her friend is asking at what cost. I don't know what Shanann knew about the history of Chris and his parents. It sounds like there's a whole lot to be learned here. Her friend is asking at what cost. It's not worth it. Shanann said, I know this. He's so cold. This is not the guy I've been with the past 8 years. So Shanann's friend said, I talked with Josh, that's her husband, about what's going on because he gave me my phone and saw that something was wrong. He wants to try and talk to Chris, but won't since he obviously isn't supposed to know what's going on. I agree, he's definitely not the guy that Josh and I know and have seen around you and the kids. It's strange. So people could see the effects of Chris's affair, his whole change in persona, in such a short period of time, weeks. It's so strange and completely out of the norm. Shanann said, I told him I don't know who this person is, but the person I left 7 weeks ago would have answered differently. Why are you married to me? Because we love each other, Chris must have answered. He said that's all he can think of to say at the moment. Shanann said, I told him why I married him and why I'm still married to him, with took a few paragraphs, not a mutual answer. I said, you love me because I'm the mother of your kids. You're not in love with me. I told him I think he enjoyed single life too well. Yeah, he did. And that I think he may realize he prefers to be alone. Or with Nikki, obviously. Shanann continued, he's not in love with me. A person still madly in love can find what to say. He responded, I don't want to lose the kids. Isn't that a weird response? Shanann said, I walked away in tears since I couldn't take it anymore. So Shanann must have written this to Chris. If you are done, don't love me, don't want to work this out, not happy anymore, and only staying because of the kids, I need you to tell me. So this is a screenshot also of her pleading to Chris, how did you fall out of love with me in 5.5 weeks, or has this been going on a long time? I think it was a combination of both, actually, his frustration over years and then Nikki bringing it out in him. I don't know how you fell out of love with me in 5.5 weeks, or if this has been going on for a long time, but you don't plan another baby if you're not in love. Kids don't deserve a broken family. I left you, you couldn't take your hands off of me. You show up and I have to practically beg for a kiss in the airport. Being away from you, I missed you. It's exhausting. I miss the smell of you. We have that letter. We'll go over that in a future video. That's what I texted him last night after I couldn't take it anymore. Her friend said, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say. I don't know if I would either. She's being so raw and open and honest. Her friend just said, I don't know what to say, honey. I'm so sorry. It's true. What do you say if a person's husband's acting like this? Shanann said, I know he is not good at conflict. He avoids it at all cost. He's also better at writing his feelings than talking them at times. I know this about him, but damn, Cass. Me neither. We will see how he is tonight. I just told him life's about making tough choices and you can't fight for someone you don't love. He's going to have to step out of his comfort zone and defend and protect his family. All he said was, I know. He said last night he will handle it, so Chris just kept saying, I'll handle it, without really handling it. Shanann said, I will try to call when I'm on my way home. Her friend said, okay, honey, keep your head up. Whatever is supposed to happen will happen, and we are here for you, and soon we'll be in Colorado for you, Kay. Shanann said, love you. So Monday, August 6th, her friend posted a screenshot of what her husband wrote. Words are the most powerful thing on earth. The use of them can build someone up to do amazing things. They can make someone do terrible things. The lack of them can do just as much damage as good. It's important we use our words wisely. She said, I'm pretty sure her husband Josh posted that because she knew of what was going on with Chris. So Shanann said, "How are you feeling?" "Eating soup." I thought that would be reversed. "You don't have to be crazy to hang out with me. I'll train you." So you would think that the friend would be asking Shanann how she was feeling, but this looks reversed for some reason. This is the pivotal last week. "How are you?" Shanann apparently asked. "I feel sick to my stomach." I would think that would be reversed, but perhaps not. We know Shanann was experiencing a lot of sickness and after effects, I believe, of the oxy that she was given. Anyway, I do believe this is her friend saying, "I feel sick to my stomach," but going to muster up happiness for the phone call tonight. Maybe I have this reversed. Let me check here. No, you got this. "Thanks, you're welcome. Love you, excited to see you." "Love you too. I'm excited to see you also." So we're still at Monday, August 6th. Yeah, that's her friend saying, "Did Josh and I do okay? I was so miserable at the time." So her friend just must have been sick. Not only had Shanann been, constipated earlier, her friend was sick. And she's asking, did her and her husband do okay? Obviously, they were still pushing through, and these are all her Thrive buddies, so, and, real friends too, I believe. So she was miserable at the time. Shanann said, "Perfect." Her friend said, "Okay, thanks." And Shanann offered, "Hope you feel better." Her friend said, "Thanks. The soup I had stayed down and was amazing." Now, moving on to Tuesday, August 7th, her friend said, "Make sure Nicole Atkinson, that is, gets lunch and a headshot if she wants. Today is the last day. And RSVP if she hasn't yet." Shanann said, "Yep, she did." And she gave her friend a kiss face emoji. Now, her friend wants to know, how is everything after Chris was at his parents' house? Shanann said, long story, in car driving to airport, so they were flying back home to Colorado. Her friend said, "Okay, honey, fly home safely and we will talk tomorrow. Let me know when you have landed." "Will do. Love you," Shanann said. "Love you." Her friend said, "Are you okay?" "I will call you tomorrow," Shanann said. Her friend said, "Okay. Just wanted to make sure you're okay, or if I need to fly to Colorado and hug you sooner." What a great friend. You want your friend's situations to change and get better. Ugh. Tuesday, 8:43 p.m. Her friend said, "Are you home, honey?" Shanann said, "Just landed." Now we know as soon as they landed, I don't know if it was this night, maybe it was the next night, Chris went on over to Nikki's house. "Oh, good," her friend said. "We need to talk tomorrow. Okay, honey, love you and hope you get some good sleep tonight." So at this point, there is a photo of a house for sale. It must have been a neighbor of the Wattses because allegedly that is Nosy Nate's truck. So it must have been, I believe, Nosy Nate's house for sale. Maybe Shanann was telling her friend, "Come live next door to us." We do know, as we'll see in upcoming text messages, that Shanann is going to fear being alone in Colorado, trying to raise 3 kids. They're going to talk about who might get the house, even though the house is in Chris's name. And Shanann's fears about not being able to afford the house and 3 kids as a single mom. That's what Shanann wrote. Neighbor. So the neighbor must have been selling his house and moving. Safety first. So at one point, Shanann is thinking, it seems like, okay, we're going to break up. I'm going to need to make it as a single mom in Colorado. And another point, Chris is feeding her false hope. Okay, her friend said, "I know, but I can't purchase a home for 3 years because we have the damn foreclosure." And Shanann's asking, "Why can't your mom?" Her friend said, "I would love to live next to you though, because both moms already have a mortgage and don't make enough financially to purchase another home." "Oh," Shanann said. Her friend said, "Our names will have to be on the paperwork for our income to be used, and if our names are on it, they won't approve her at all. If she does it alone, the amount she would have to maybe qualify for is nowhere near enough." So indeed, we know that Chris qualified, apparently, I guess along with Shanann, maybe they considered her income for their home on Saratoga Trail. By Wednesday, August 8th, I'm not sure if she had taken the girls to the doctor, but she said Celeste is 37 pounds and Bella's 40 pounds. "They are growing so fast," her friend said. By Wednesday, her friend is asking, how did the ultrasound go? Shanann unloads. He said we are not compatible anymore. He refused to hug me, said he thought another baby would fix his feelings, said he refused couples counseling. And her friend's like, what? That's a load of ish. Shanann said, I can't take it anymore. Her friend is trying to wonder what's going on, just like Shanann. Like, does he have a case of grass is greener on the other side or something? So her friend is wondering, is he cheating also? Shanann said, Chris said he had a lot of time to reflect his feelings. Her friend said, I wish I was there to hug you. When did he start feeling this way? And so Chris said a few months. So at that point, he's telling her this has been happening a few months. Her friend said, what part isn't compatible anymore? And then Shanann says, which I don't get because we could. She keeps saying could get enough of each other. I think she means couldn't get enough of each other before I left. He just said not compatible. Her friend is noticing the different masks that Chris puts on. Because she's saying he doesn't talk to Josh like he doesn't want this baby or like anything is wrong. It's so crazy. What can I do, honey? Here it is. Shanann noticed he's never called me Shanann till this week. So using her name in this instance was distancing language, whereas Nikki avoided saying the name Shanann. Chris is calling his wife Shanann. Does Nicole Atkinson know? I want her to go to you and hug you right now for me. Yes, Shanann said. Oh my God, can I send her to you, please? He owes you more info than just not being compatible anymore. Not tonight, Shanann said. So her friend is trying to send another friend over. It's like me and my friends would be sending prayers to each other if this were going on, I think. Her friend said, after so long of being together and having a family, okay, well, if I was there, I would be at your house already, damn it. Well, I'm glad I will be there soon. I want to be there for you and the girls and that baby. Oh, what a sweet friend this is. So Shanann just puts the sobbing emojis. Her friend said, he owes you way more info than that. Indeed. Shanann said, I want to know what effing changed. No signs of anything wrong, zero. Sex all the time, talking, going places, doing things. Her friend said, you deserve to know. Now, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily right. No signs of anything wrong. But obviously Shanann was shell-shocked and imagined being so emotional and pregnant. Her friend said, I'm so sorry, honey. Shanann said, he just says he doesn't feel it anymore. How? How do I make him feel compatible again? You just can't help but ache for her, it's just desperation there. Her friend said, if he isn't willing to go to counseling and figure it out and fix it, I don't know if you can. More sobbing tears emojis. Her friend said, he should at least have the respect to tell you how it happened and what happened to cause it. You have been together way too long not to be given the respect of that. He should tell you, and it's a little late to worry about hurting you. Indeed, I wonder if he would have told her the truth, if that would have just been better and not driving her crazy, Shanann said, how do you fix his feelings on his own? Like, I don't get it. Her friend said, is there someone else? He says no, so he was lying to Shanann. Her friend said, like, what was he doing? I just don't get it. Shanann says, me either, girl. Her friend says, she told me, I can tell you, honey, so I think they're talking about the sex of the baby, Nico. Shanann said, she will come in the AM and tell me, she said. She says she wants to see my face. And her friend says, LOL, I just texted that, I believe she's going to say. But yeah, and Shanann is even wanting to reach out to Chris's best friend. It's like she was truly desperate to want to find out. LOL, Shanann said, do I call Mark and talk to him? And her friend said, you could. Maybe he knows something. And Shanann said, he talks, like at least he would say something. Her friend said, talk to you in the morning. Let me know when she is headed over so I can be there when you find out. Love you. Shanann said, okay, honey, love you. Sorry, Bella came in my bed. And her friend said, don't be sorry, night love. Shanann said she didn't even ask where Chris is. I think she senses I'm in pain. Oh, Bella was a little empath. You can tell. She's just like a sweet, perceptive child. You can just imagine her. And there's rambunctiously, you can imagine Bella sensitively coming into her mom. Now this is a group text between Shanann, Nicole Atkinson, and her friend Cass. Shanann says, Nikki, I need happy news. Can you please tell me the sex? Can you tell me the sex, please? And her friend said, just tell her, honey. She needs to know because it is literally the only exciting thing right now. Tell her face to face tomorrow, mama, and give her a huge hug for me. Nicole says, I will. Her friend said, can we FaceTime when you do it? Shanann is saying, come early. Nicole is saying, well, what time? And it's a big production over, they canceled the gender reveal, so I guess they're kind of making it like their own little girlfriend's gender reveal. Shanann says, I'm up at 6. Laughing face, she's up pretty early. Her friend says, I'm up at 5 my time, so that's perfect, LOL. Nicole says, what time does Chris leave? And Shanann goes, dude, I need sex. And Chris is up at 6 o'clock apparently. Come whenever, in the AM, just not 11. And Nicole said, well, what's at 11? And Shanann says, too long, like it's too long to wait till 11 a.m. So she really wanted to know the sex of her baby. She was trying to stay positive and happy, and we can tell towards the end she obviously had no clue what her husband was planning. Nicole said, oh, I was thinking 7:38. It will depend on when Ken leaves. Shanann said, you text Taylor about canceling reveal, that's the gender reveal, and okay to coming at 7:30 to 8 apparently. And her friend said, I love you girls. You have to FaceTime with me for the reveal tomorrow morning, okay? Shanann says, just don't slip on Facebook. I don't want anyone to know right now because then Chris will. I want him to want to know. F him, yep, I said it. Yes, I texted Taylor, Nicole said. And Shanann finally addresses her friend by name. I agree, Cass. So no Facebook. Got it, Nicole says. They don't want to slip up and accidentally say it's a boy before Chris knew. No Facebook, I promise. Shanann said, please no. He doesn't deserve to know. He doesn't even want it, jackass. He's such an effing liar. He said, I think it would be great having another. He wanted this. He started the conversation. You don't get me pregnant and not love me. What's that going to do? I agree. If he really started the conversation with Shanann and said, I think another would be great without her prompting it, that's a really weird thing to get your wife pregnant with a third child and you're under all this financial stress and even before you've met your mistress, Nicole says, love you both. Shanann, you are one of the strongest people I know. You will get through this. I thought those were just the best words. Nicole's probably so proud of that, she told her friend. Shanann said, F him, I'm nowhere near perfect, but I love unconditionally. I give my all. I do so much as a mom and wife. More than 90% of women out there, this effing sucks because so bad because I love him and all his ducking flaws. Her friend said, I agree with Nicole. His loss and you got this, girl. Besides, Nicole and I will be there every step of the way. I don't know, Nikki, Shanann said. This was a total slap in the face. Stab in the back to the heart. I can't afford 3 kids alone in Colorado. So she's feeling really low and accepting the fact that she might get divorced. Her friend said, well, Josh and I and my kids will be there and in your home, so we got this, girl. Nicole said, I have been there, girl, and believe me, you will come out better and stronger. You're not alone. Her friend told her, nope, you're not alone. Shanann said, love you, ladies. And then Nicole said, that's right, Josh and Cassie could live with you. So they were planning how to move forward, and it could have really been a good plan. It could have worked. Whether they sold the house or had someone take over, if Shanann would have won the house in the divorce. Her friend said, Josh said we might as well bunk your girls in a room, our girls in a room, Bubba and the baby in a room. Besides, you $200K, remember, Nicole wrote, and she was right. Shanann did hit that $200K thrive level. Her friend said, well, baby can be in your room with you. Josh and I will finish the basement. We got this, girl. Or we can finish the basement and throw all 4 girls down there in one huge-ass room. LOL. Shanann says the house loan is on Chris's name. Her friend says, F him, you get the kids and can't go without a home. So they were probably right. They probably would have awarded the home to Shanann. Her friend said, okay, I found a house that is a 6-bedroom and 4-bath. We got this. LOL. Nicole says, doesn't matter. My house in Greeley was in my ex's name and I still got it. You're in Weld County. They would make you sell it and split the profit before giving it to him. Everything will work out, her friend said. We got this, girl. They were very encouraging. Nicole said, Cassie is right. So Shanann said, masturbating is awesome stress reliever. So we know that her husband was refusing to sleep with her. And you know how pregnancy can increase libido. So, At this point, I'm sure Chris Watts was afraid to tell Shanann what was going on, but he did owe her the truth, or just, not to put her on, not to lead her on. So she was, I don't know, crying, laughing emoji. Her friend said, LOL, do it, girl. We need to get you some good toys. Shanann said, when I asked him for a hug and to hold me tonight, or he held me tonight for a minute, he said he couldn't right now. He's not there right now. Need new ones about the toys. So obviously, Chris was probably thinking of Nikki. All right, we need to shop, LOL. I'm sure they have a hustler in Phoenix, LOL. So Shanann sent them this screenshot of what she sent to Chris Watts that Thursday morning. So that would have been August 8th or August 9th. Do you want to find out together with me tonight on the baby's gender? Yes, and she loved that reply. Please take 5 minutes today to write to me. Tell me how you're feeling. I love you, Chris, more than you know. So this is the gaslighting, Nicole says, what do you want? And Shanann says, I offered it to him this morning. And so he's saying, okay, yeah, I'll find out the gender with you. But we know he had just headed over to Nikki's house and, raced away from Nikki to go to the gender, or rather to go to the ultrasound. So he wasn't feeling it. His mind wasn't in the right place. Shanann said, I need us to work, and if he's wanting to know with me, I'm willing to wait. Can you put it in another envelope? I'd love to still see you. Her friend said, I hope that he can explain to you more what he wants and what the hell happened. I don't understand how he can say you aren't compatible anymore and that it's been that way for a while and not tell you why or how. Nicole says, oh, I'm still coming over. Shanann says, can I three-way you both? So they're still trying to keep encouraged about finding out the sex of the baby, especially in light of Chris not being excited at the ultrasound. The friend said, my interview went amazingly. Now what happened with you, Shanann? And Nicole is saying, I'm so excited for you, because she knows they're having a boy, but obviously Chris and Shanann don't know yet. Shanann said, I'm talking with Chris. Text you guys later. I'm so happy for you about the interview, apparently. And her friend says, okay, sweetie, we love you. And Shanann again says, love you more. And Nicole says, love you guys. So this is Thursday, again, August 9th. It's getting down to the wire. And even though stuff has gone so wrong and Shanann was saying, okay, I can handle this, Chris is kind of gaslighting her and making her think everything's going to be okay. The friend says, how are you girls doing that Thursday night? Josh and I are looking for homes and haven't packed. Now Shanann says, Chris wants to move to Brighton. And then her friend is like you all moved to a Brighton? And Shanann says, Nico Lee Watts. So that's his name. We are not telling the world until Monday. Tonight has been the best talk yet. I wonder what he said to her that night. So much her friend was like, I'm confused, LOL. Happy you had a good talk though. And Nicole's going to talk about how she's also confused. So Nicole says, me too, but happy it went well. Shanann said, LOL. So obviously, I think Chris was just trying to placate her. He had no plans of giving up Nikki, his mistress. He was just telling Shanann, I think, whatever, because he knew what he planned to do. Her friend said, we have emails and info in for a few rentals. It would be amazing to move all of our ish in one shot, but we'll see. You may have to rent at Casa Watts. Nicole said, when do you start? Her friend says, calling me with official offer tomorrow or Tuesday next week. Nicole said, that's exciting. Now that Friday she's flying off to Arizona, and Shanann said, forgot balance and her bikini. So she forgot her Thrive product and her bikini. By Sunday at 9:21 p.m., Nicole is saying, our flight is delayed. So Shanann is, the three sobbing emojis because she really just wants to get back home to Chris. I can see how she might have thought things were, turning around for the better. Her friend asked because of the monsoon. Shanann said our plane was here, but crew was delayed because of storm. So literally, it was a perfect storm of a situation and a literal storm. Her friend said, makes sense, it's a blessing. Do you know how kind the delay is? Nicole said, we are boarding now. And we're going to look at more of what Shanann and Chris texted each other directly, some of what they talked about on the Netflix special, because some people thought these text messages were left out of this discovery. Some of them are just the actual images, some of them are kind of just in writing. So her friend said, okay, please message me so I know you landed home safely, it won't wake me. Nicole said, will do. Now look at that, Monday, 12:25 a.m., that would be August 13th, 2018. Shanann Watts said, landed, and 3 sleeping emojis. Nicole said, we are home. And by Monday morning, by 7:53 a.m., her friend said, glad you're home safe. Isn't that ironic? The most ironic 4 words ever. Shanann made it home, but it wasn't safely. After she got home, that is. But let's look a little bit on Sunday, August 12th, 2018. Shanann had obviously texted Chris Watts early that morning, that Sunday, good morning, baby, love you, and a nice smiling emoji. And so she was feeling hopeful, it seems. She told Addie, her friend, I got a lot of work to do today. And this weekend, or this week, next weekend, I'm going missing in action while away with Chris in Aspen. So Shanann was probably on cloud 9, thinking she was about to have this couples trip in Aspen with her husband finally. Shanann was asking how the girls were, and Watts said the girls were good and drinking a shake. Shanann replied, miss you guys, give them kisses for me. Watts said he would, and Shanann told him to have a great day, and he reciprocated. Josh was asking Watts if he was all right with Josh and his family staying with the Watts family when they move. Watts said, that's cool, man. So, Watts got a heads up about these people moving in. And then he's talking about their finish of that Rockies game. Epic! But Shanann told Addie, I need to do better with my calendar. I don't block out family time. I fill it in. Last night, it had nothing to do with business, though, allegedly, the problems that Watts said he was having. So Watts didn't admit to Shanann, it was nothing about Thrive. It was nothing about her being on her phone. Shanann said, no, I agree. I think it's the itty bitty things. I sometimes can be bitchy and he gets that side of me. I know I tend to make him feel like he isn't able to do things because I have control issues. He said the other night he wishes I'd just let him hang up a picture. Now, Shanann's calendar had the entry titled Talk scheduled for that day and time. So did Chris Watts's calendar have an entry, and that might have been what would have been the gender reveal, but ultimately that was canceled. Shanann seemed to soften, and she had all these changes in mind. Shanann continued talking to her friend Addie. I always have, but he also never calls me out. He never fights me. He just goes with the flow. He and I know I like things done a certain way, but I never thought about how that might make him feel as a man. I don't even know if that's what's bothering him. He still hasn't said. I'm praying he wrote me a letter like I asked him, since he can express himself better in a letter than talking, and the I don't know emoji. Shanann realized I'm the pusher, he's the withdrawer. He has strengths that are my weaknesses and vice versa. The lack of communication isn't on my part. I can be better at how I communicate, but he doesn't communicate. I say things sometimes just to get him to react. And anyway, since he doesn't react, then that's not good. It's not even all the time. 99% of the time we are perfectly fine. I don't think that's true. And we've never ever fought. They say that's a danger signal right there if a couple's never fought, literally over anything serious, and I just mean argue, not physical fighting. I fought with him over stupid-ish, like not doing something I asked in a timely manner. I did belittle him without realizing it with his parents, told him he needed to find his balls and protect his family. She said Watts is submissive when his parents are involved. And isn't that interesting that Addie said he would kill for you? Shanann told Addie, told him in a letter, I would for him, and there has to be mutual respect. I did respect his parents enough to deal with them. His mom just didn't. And when alone with me, jabs at me. It's not fair. I mean, I agreed to spend 5 weeks with both parents, and that's hell for me. But I did it for him and the kids. Now, that's what I find weird, because Shanann is saying, look, I went out there for 5 weeks and, shuffled back and forth to both parents with the kids because I was doing it for Chris. And then Chris is claiming in his interview that he didn't even want Shanann to leave. So yeah, lack of communication is not a good thing. Shanann is saying he was never close to anyone but his dad, but Shanann's a family person, tried to bring them closer and it backfired. I don't know. I feel like he will stand up for us faced with difficult situations. That's where he flaws or weaknesses. My weakness is that I have an Italian temper that can't hold back when pissed. I'm a fixer and I want to talk this out, and he just wants to work it out in his head. I've just been acting kind of normal. Morning, baby, I love you, etc., but not overdoing it. Overdoing it is what we do. We're so affectionate, we can't stop touching each other, not just the sex, just the touch. And then she asked Watts to do a favor of getting the girls' stuff ready, and he said he would do it. She wanted pictures of the girls, saying, I miss them. Now, after that, Watts searched Google for Mount Colima. He preserved an image of the volcano spewing lava and smoke. No one can figure out why Watts might have looked up this volcano. What does it mean? Meanwhile, Shanann was asking if the girls were taking a nap, and Watts said they were just laying down. Shanann asked Watts, if you have time before they wake and want to call me back, I'd love to talk to you. Even though Watts said okay, he never did. And then this might have been the last image of Shanann. It sounds like these two were all over the place. Shanann is saying almost like she's the 99%, 90% perfect wife, but Watts wouldn't talk to her at all. Obviously, this man held in so much rage and contempt and anger, and he just let it brew and fester and stir within him. Something about meeting Nikki Kessinger gave him this freedom feeling that he had never ever felt, not knowing women like her existed. And he still couldn't confront his wife, or again, just leave her a letter, or just leave her alone and alive and happy with the girls. And so what if Shanann would have gotten the house? That would have been fine. Watts took photographs of the girls playing in the distance in the backyard near a small pool at the Lindstrom birthday party, so those photos are floating around online if you look them up. Ronnie had asked if Chris and the girls were doing well, and Watts said yes, so his father-in-law was just, or rather his father was just checking on him. Ronnie responded, okay, we love you guys. And I don't even know if they were allowed to FaceTime at that point. They might have, they might not have. Shanann asked if the girls had fun at the party. Watts said they were still there and they were having fun. Shanann replied, good, I'm glad, okay, I love you, and Watts didn't respond. So he's still obviously holding things inside. Look, he searched for another volcano. I didn't know he searched for two. Perikutin volcano. And then this is the curious part. He captured a photo documenting the temperature setting in the fridge. We don't know if it was just because their fridge was on the fritz or something more sinister. And also, there was a photo of 4 chicken breasts on a barbecue grill. So why did he make so many chicken breasts is the question. We know he ate a lot of protein. Was it for him and someone else? And then he's talked about checking the whip checks for Survey 629 and go straight out to, that shouldn't say that. He will look at the 319 as well and run the 1129 if you want. And then Watts called Sandy and held a 12-minute conversation for some reason. Maybe that was with the girls. They talked more about Survey 319 the very next day, and Watts is saying, yeah, I know all about what they found out there, and he claims he was giving Troy a Amazon Fire Stick to look at, but he keeps insisting, no sense in both of us going out there, I'll go out to Survey 319. He's searching for the Dead Sea Scrolls. We know he talked about that with Nikki, because she said, you can't buy the Dead Sea Scrolls, silly. And Robert says, all right, sounds good, man. I appreciate it. So they're doing the work talk and talking about the leak. Shanann asked, hey, honey, are the kids in bed? She asked for pictures. Watts said, Bella just got back in bed. They must be exhausted, Shanann said. And that's when Watts resent her the images from earlier in the day at the dinner table, and then he added this image of Bella, the last known photo of Bella, looking like a pretty little princess girl. She looks so grown and wonderful just sitting there. But Watts, if we could only see and know the inner workings of his mind, you know, we can see Shanann's desperation for him to just tell the truth. And even if it would have hurt her feelings, even if he had come out straight and said, look, I'm in love with another woman, I'm leaving you, and that's it, all of that would have been better than the BS of pretending otherwise. Shanann told Chris, look, the power went out during dinner with Cindy and Addie before the airport, so she sent a photograph of in the darkened eatery, and she commented on the photos he had just sent. A great job on Bella's hair. And Watts was replying, that sucks, to the, power going out. And yeah, Bella cooperated. And Shanann said it's a really bad dust storm, rain, thunder, lightning, sounds horrible. Shanann said Cindy bought their dinner, and Shanann praying it doesn't cancel flight. Addie's flight was canceled this morning. And Shanann talked to Watts for 9 minutes. And then she said, sorry I bothered you, I just wanted to talk to you. So obviously Chris just didn't want to talk. We know he spoke a lot that night with Nikki Kessinger, so he probably just wanted to get back to her. So stuff wasn't really all fixed, of course. But she did tell Watts, thanks for taking good care of the kids this weekend so I can learn and work. I appreciate it. And Watts returned a missed call, so there was something, a call to Addie in there. And then this is what they showed in the Netflix special that people thought was missing when Shanann asked Chris, what kind of vegetables do you want with dinner tomorrow? And Watts said green beans, and there was a broccoli emoji too. She said she'd buy them tomorrow at Costco with other stuff. Shanann said she was ready to come home, and I'm ready for bed. Shanann sent a message to Addie because she just needed to know what the heck was going on. She needed to bounce the ideas off of her. Can you please tell me something? Because just like you, I'm in my head. Well, this is what she's sending to Chris, I do believe. Some are confusing because she's asking her girl friends to analyze what she's saying to her husband. Because just like you, I'm in my head. I'm trying to fix things, make them better. This is making me crazy. I know that you need time. I want to give you what you're asking for and respect your space. I need some time. This place that I'm in my head is not a good place. It's not healthy for me or Nico. I need you to help me help you. I need you to give just a little bit of what I did or didn't do, so I'm not going crazy in my head to figure it out. I know I can't fix this by myself, that we are going to have to work together. And so that was a quote of what she sent to Chris, and it feels really sad. She made an unanswered call to him. Shanann is telling Chris, tried calling you to give you an update, was starting to board, and they announced that our crew isn't here yet, and it's going to be a minimum of an hour before they are here. Shanann received her calendar alert about her flight from Phoenix to Denver. Watts finally replied, holy crap, sorry I passed out on the couch. That's going to be late. So by Monday, August 13th, it's still the wee hours of the morning, so it feels like it's still Sunday night instead of Monday. Shanann's phone connected with Southwest Airlines. She told Cassie they had landed, and there's the last outgoing communication found on Shanann's phone. So that's it, and Watts's phone logged the vivid alert of Shanann coming home. We've seen the video, and there was no movement detected on the main floor of the home between 1:48 and 4:23 a.m. And in the group text, Nicole told Cassie we are home. Other than that, that's when Watts is sending that stage message to Shanann, pretending to not know where she was at 7:40 a.m. So I can't help but feel for Shanann's desperation throughout all these text messages and just wish that there had been a lot more open communication between the couple. And maybe even reading them can help other couples realize how important it is to be honest with one another. Or just leave, even if you can't be honest. Philippians 3:14. I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. Now we know Chris Watts isn't the type who likes confrontation. Maybe he felt Shanann was over the top. He may have felt emotionally abused. He may have felt put down and ruled over, and all of this, and none of this is an excuse or any kind of justification for what he did. My point is that he should have found a healthy way to express himself and get it out without resorting to the ultimate bad decision. And now he just has the rest of his life to sit there in prison, think about these text messages, think about these conversations, think about everything he could have done differently, which is probably why he doesn't like talking about the past and what happened before he came to prison. Yeah, it's got to be horrible to think and feel that you could have made so many more right decisions. I know it's easy to go along to get along in a marriage and pretend everything is happy and think because you don't argue that everything's going well, but obviously it wasn't. But again, never an excuse for Chris Watts to go crazy, get with this dark mistress, and decide he was still not going to confront his problems. Even if Shanann would have gone off or gone crazy or yelled at him or ranted and raved and all of that, which would have been her right, she would have been heartbroken no matter what. You deal with it. You leave the house if you have to. If you have to avoid conflict, you send a text message, you send an email, you write a physical letter, you do whatever you have to do, and the time apart could have healed and helped, and they could have reflected and still gotten divorced. It just doesn't make any sense why he didn't do that. Thank you for watching.